Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vasiliki Papaioannou. I am a CTIS Change Management Officer working for the European Medicines Agency. I would like to welcome you all to this CTIS Bitesize Talk, the ninth of a series of short talks that cover a specific functionality in the Clinical Trials Information System, or CTIS. Today we're focusing on the Annual Safety Report, or ASR, and throughout the session, there will be a part with a presentation, a live system demo, and of course, with questions and answers. To collect your questions, we're using Slido. And if for you to be able to submit your questions, please go to www.slido.do and use the event code BT15DEC from December. Alternatively, you can scan the Slido QR code that you can see on your screen. And of course, we also have the Slido link in the event page on the EMA website. As announced in the event webpage and in the previous bite-sized talks, we have given the opportunity for you to submit your questions in advance, but you're also invited to submit your questions live during the session through Slido. Whichever way you choose to connect, once you are inside the Slido event, you can of course type in your questions, but you can also upvote other users' questions that you want to see answered. First, we will be answering the questions that we have received in advance. Then we will move on to the live questions, and we will start from the most popular ones. So please make sure you use the thumbs up feature. And first, scan through the questions so that perhaps the question you want to ask has already been asked, and give it a thumbs up. Remember to keep the questions focused on the CTIS functionality of the annual safety report so that we can best answer them. Now, a few technical information. In case the video screen is not easy for you to view, please read the instructions in the gray box underneath the embedded video on the event page. You can always find there a link to watch the live broadcast in full screen. And once you have the video in full screen mode, then you can further opt to increase the video quality by clicking the HD button on the bottom right of the screen. And you recommend an analysis of 720p, but you can go up even higher. Also, a stable internet connection facilitates your optimal viewing. I hope this technical information has been useful to all of you, and I would like to introduce our speakers, Ornella Demi, Katia Gonçalves, and Noemi Manem. First, Katia is a pharmacist with a master's in regulation and evaluation of medicines and health products. And after 7 years as a community pharmacist, she joined the Portuguese National Competent Authority as a marketing authorization procedures manager, and also as an inspector of good quality practices later on. Since 2021, she has been working in EMA as a scientific officer and became part of the CTIS operations workstream in June 2022. Ornella Demi has a master's in pharmacy. She has 8 years of experience as a scientific officer in regulatory affairs and pharmacovigilance from the Norwegian Medicines Agency, and 3 years of experience as regulatory affairs manager from pharmaceutical industry. Since 2019, she has been working as a scientific officer at EMA and joined the CTIS operation workstream as a change manager in August 2021. Finally, Noemi Manan joined EMA in 2011 as a principal scientific administrator in the compliance and inspection sector. Today, she is a member of the Data Analytics and Methods Task Force, leading the CTIS operation workstream, enabling the application of the clinical trials regulation. I will now be giving the floor to Ornella, who will take us through a short presentation on the annual safety report. Then, a session with a live system demo will follow, and then the Q&As. Please remember to submit your questions in Slido and upvote questions that you want to see answered first. Ornella, Over to you.
Thank you, Vicky. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'll have a little presentation on annual safety report. First, I will go through and explain what is an annual safety report, what has changed with the new clinical trial regulation and the safety reporting, how to handle the annual safety report during the transition period. I will also take you through the annual safety report in CTIS, both the sponsor and authorities workspace. And I will show you also the assessment phases of the annual safety report in CTIS. And finally, I will also inform you about useful links where to find detailed information about the annual safety report. Next slide. So, what is an annual safety report? Annual reporting by the sponsor have to happen to the member state concerned. So, regarding investigational medical products other than placebo, the sponsors shall submit annually through CTIS a report on the safety of each investigational medical product used in a clinical trial for which the sponsor is conducting. In the case of the clinical trial involving the use of more than one IMP, so more than one investigational medicinal product, the sponsor may, if it is provided by the protocol, submit a single safety report on all investigational medical products used in that clinical trial. This annual report shall only contain aggregated and anonymized data, and ASRs and DSURs are not to be published. Now, the obligation to send this annual report starts with the first authorization of the clinical trial and ends when the last clinical trial conducted with the IMP is finalized. So, with the information provided via the ASR, the national competent authorities are able both to assess each IMP's safety profile and also inquire further information from the sponsors. So, the ASR provides information to ensure that to regulators that sponsors are adequately monitoring and evaluating the evolving safety profile of the investigational drug and appropriately mitigating potential risks to the IMP. More information and relevant regulation with regards to the ISR you can find in the Article 43 of the CTR, but also in the Implementation Regulation 2022-20 of the CTR. This implementation regulation applies to all active substances that are used in investigational medicinal products in clinical trials authorized in at least 2 member states. So, regardless of whether the clinical trial was authorized under the CTR or initially under the directive. The regulation does not apply, though, to mononational active substances, to active substances in investigational medical products used as reference products, including as a placebo, or to active substances used in auxiliary medical products. Next slide, please. So, what has changed under the CTR? It has to be an electronic submission of SUSAR and ISR. This is required by the CTR. SUSARs, though, are to be submitted via EudraVigilance, and ISRs via the CTIS, so the Clinical Trial Information System. All the communication between the member states and the sponsors will have to happen via the CTIS. Also, what is new with the CTR is the safety assessing member state. So, what does it mean to be a safety assessing member state? It means that the member state that is the member state that assesses the information that is submitted as a SUSAR. Also, the information contained in the annual safety reports for the clinical trials involving investigational medical products that contain the same active substance, regardless of the pharmaceutical form and strength or indication investigated, and regardless of whether they are used in one or several clinical trials managed by the same or different sponsors. So the responsibility of the safety assessing member state is to assess the safety data the relevant safety data, but then on a substance base. And then ASR that they are assessing can be related to more than one clinical trial and more than one investigational medical product. The safety assessing member states conducts coordinated safety assessment with the RMS, so the reference member state, and the member state concerned using the same active substance or substances. It also can develop general recommendations in relation to the safety concerns. Further on, the reference member state and member state concerned can implement these recommendations, if applicable, to their trials via corrective measures. Next slide, please. So how do we handle ASRs during the transition period? In the case that a sponsor has one clinical trial ongoing in alignment with the CTR, while it has also at the same time others which are under the directive, the ISR should be submitted through CTIS. So sponsors are allowed to name all the member states concerned for all the ongoing clinical trials in the EU EEA within the directive, as well as the CTR. But the sponsors are still obliged as of CT3 to submit the ISRs to the ethic committees according to the national legislations in the member states with the ongoing trial within the directive. Also, the sponsors are obliged to inform investigators of any new safety data or change in the benefit risk evaluation. Next slide, please. So now the annual safety report has to be submitted via the CTIS, and in the sponsor workspace, the person who has to submit this ISR has to have the role as an ASR submitter. This user role, ASR submitter, will enable the sponsor to view, create, and submit the ISR, also to view the RFI and create and submit a response to this RFI, view and upload and download ISR documents, also view RFI assessment comments, and view ISR summary conclusion. When the sponsor submits an ISR, they can also choose to submit an informative cover letter. This is not required by regulation, but they can do so if they are willing to do so. And they can provide this cover letter in the CTIS in the ISR document placeholder. My colleague Katja later on will explain to you where and show to you where when she shows the demo. Please note that when you provide a cover letter, then it should be in a PDF format, and you can upload a cover letter with the capacity of up to 50 megabytes each. Next slide, thank you. And then we have the authority workspace, where the member state concerns have the possibility through CTIS to assess the ASR, also assess the RFI responses, if it is applicable. However, as I mentioned, we also have here involved the safety assessment member state, and in the case where we have several safety assessing member states, then it is a lead member state appointed. It can be chosen, and this lead member state will lead the safety assessments, will be responsible for the assessment of a specific ASR role, will collaborate with other concerned safety assessment member states, reference member states, and member states concerned. Then it will also consolidate the member states concerned considerations with regards to the draft assessment report, and can create the RFIs. I remember that member state can levy a fee when they carry safety assessment activities as a safety assessing member state. Next slide, please. So here is the assessment phase of an annual safety report in CTIS. So it all starts with the sponsor submitting the ISR. The ISR should be submitted within 60 days after the data log point. Then, after the ISR is submitted, it is appointed a SAMS, so a safety assessment member state. The appointment takes between 7 till 12 days, depending on if there are several member states who express the interest to become a safety assessment member state. If there are several member states that express interest, the reporting member state then will have to choose within 5 days a leading or a safety assessment member state. Therefore, this phase can take, or this process can take also up to 12 days in total. Then after the appointment of the safety assessment member state, the safety assessment member state prepares and circulates a draft assessment report. When applicable, they also prepare the RFI if there are outstanding questions, and then in the end concludes the assessment after they have received the answers. This process takes 42 days after the submission of the latest ASR. However, if there are questions like an RFI, then this process may take up to 84 days. The safety assessing member state may increase the extent and shorten the timelines of the assessment if the risk to the safety of participants in the clinical trial requires it. Next slide, please. So in this slide, I have included some useful links with information with regards to the ASR. It is online training module 18, which EMA has prepared. It's a very important module where you can find all necessary information with regards to the ASR and how to submit also an ASR and how to answer to RFIs, etc. Also, the second link refers to the question and answers prepared by the European Commission and published in their website with regards to the question and answer on the clinical trial regulation. And the third link, it's the link to the Commission's implementation regulation. And last but not least, the link to the sponsor handbook. We strongly encourage you to visit these links and these websites before you submit an annual safety report, as these are very useful and will help you to submit it correctly in the CTIS. Thank you. Now I give the floor to my colleague Katja, who will have prepared a demo for you.
Thank you, Nella. I will now pass the presenter rights to Katja so that she can share with us the demo, the prepared demo, live in the system. Katja, when you're ready, please share.
Okay. First of all, thanks, Vicky, for giving me the floor. And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We will now start to conduct the demo part of this annual safety report Bitesize Talk event. We will conduct this event in two phases. First, we will demonstrate how to create an annual safety report application, and then we'll demonstrate how to submit a response to a request for information raised by member states concerned for an annual safety report already submitted and consequently under evaluation. It is important to highlight that all information that we are going to populate and that will be provided by EMA in this demo is just made up for training purposes and will be demonstrating in the system, in the training environment workspace of Sandbox. We'll now start with the creation of an annual safety report, and I will begin to share my screen. Just a second.
Thank you, Katja, for presenting what you will show us. And now let's start.
Do you see my screen and hear the audio?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes, thank you.
So we are in the, as I just mentioned, we are now in the training environment in Sandbox. And I have the login of my user account that is related with a sponsor, Telemus company. As Ornella has mentioned, to be able to see the annual safety reporting tab and to be able to submit an annual safety report, we have to have the role of ASR submitter. As we have the role, we can press the annual safety reporting tab, and we will see here all the annual safety reports created for our company or companies that give us the role of an annual safety report submitter. To be able to create a new ASR, we press the button New Annual Safety Report. And we will be able to see the form. As you can see, this form is organized in 4 steps and also in 4 sections. The first section is to populate the sponsor information. The second section is to populate the clinical trial details and the details of the investigation of medicinal products. The third section is to populate the annual safety reporting pre-details, and the last one is to upload the relevant documents and to submit the annual safety report form. It's also important to mention, scrolling up, that we can see here 4 buttons. The clear button allows us to clean all the information that we had populated and start from the beginning. The check button allows us to verify if we had populated all the fields and if our application is ready to submit. The cancel button we can press to go out of and give up of this annual safety report form and go back to the annual safety reporting tab. And we have the tab to submit that will allow us to submit the annual safety report. So beginning, we can click on the step 1 and we will expand the form. And here we can populate the details of our sponsor. The first tab here is to populate if this annual safety report is a consolidated report following a co-development agreement. As we are doing this demo, we can agree that we are not populating, this is not a consolidated report, so we will not press the ready button. So here we have this tab to search for the details of our sponsor organization. And clicking and expanding, you'll see that we can only select Telmus company. That is the company that we are representing and that gave us the submitter, ASR submitter role. We can proceed scrolling down. And we have also here this button that wants to inform sponsors if we are that wants to inform assessors if we are sponsors or co-sponsors of a commercial company. We can decide that we are and click this radio button. So proceeding and ending this phase step 2, we can we must fill the contact details of the person or company that is the representative and the person who is submitting the annual safety report. So here we must submit a name of a natural person. And we have, we can also press here to say that the person who is in charge of this annual safety report submission is the same contact from the sponsor. So it appears our organization name and our address. If we are other companies that are representing this, we have to populate the fields from scratch. To proceed to the step 2 of the submission of this annual safety report, we can either press next or scroll down and press step 2. Both options will allow us to proceed to the step 2. So here we have this button to select our clinical trials that are related with this annual safety report. So here we can see that we have status, we have the name of the sponsor, we can search, for example, that our trials were submitted in Belgium, and one of our products is paracetamol. And if you click search, it will retrieve. No, it didn't. Maybe I should. As an option, populate the active substance. I didn't press authorized. I think this is the problem. No?
So, hi, Katia, just to say, so maybe just do not select necessarily the active substance.
I'm sorry.
Katia, there's something under product name.
Yes, if you remove this,
yes,
this one, yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't notice it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So selecting the active substance and country, it must retrieve the information related with our trials. So we want to include both trials that has in this case the same member states. And we will press add to the annual safety report. Scrolling down, we can you can see that we can select all investigation medicinal products, or we can just select some, as we will do. And if we click here, it expands and shows all the information regarding the investigation medicinal product. We also have here the possibility to select an auxiliary medicinal product, even though we didn't first had given information regarding this auxiliary medicinal product during our initial submission. We have the opportunity to add this medicine now. So we can decide that we use diclofenac as our auxiliary medicinal product. So we will search for diclofenac products, and searching, we decided we can select the corresponding one. So our clinical trials had this auxiliary product. And then we scroll down and add the auxiliary medicinal product. So these clinical trial details are filled. We can move on to the third placeholder and the first step of our ASR form. And in the first question that we find in this step 3 is if this was the first annual safety report for any of the investigational medicinal products. And we can define that the answer is yes. And we have to select both or just one of the medicines. Also, we have here to populate the reporting period details, such as data lock point, annual safety reporting period. And as you can see, the data lock point is not mandatory because the data lock point usually is the last day of the 1 year reporting period. So we will define that our annual safety report period began on the 1st of November of 2021 and the 31 of October of 2022. And if you want to populate the data log point, we have to put that it was the 31 of November, the 31 of October, sorry. Also here we have the possibility to give some extra information that is has the asterisk. The fields that has the asterisk are the mandatory fields. So here we are able to populate answers to the question if the reference safety information was updated during this period. We can define that it was not updated. Also, if any substantial modification on the reference safety information was submitted and approved during the reporting period. We can also define the answer is no. We also have this scroll down list that allow us to give other extra information to our assessors. So if our annual safety report includes some of these special conditions, like if it discloses a new combination medicinal product, if there was any new signals or concerns or risk for these products, if the trial was ended prematurely, if it raised any urgent safety measure, other special condition or none. We can press other special condition, and actually we can select all the conditions that may apply to our trial. So we advise sponsors to read all the information and to provide here information in all the special conditions that the annual safety report may include. So we can just delete those we have put it in excess, and we can add the information regarding the special conditions. In this writing tab. Lastly, we can move on pressing next. And here is the placeholder where we can upload the annual safety report document. In this placeholder, you can see that the annual safety report document is the only mandatory document, as is the only one that has the asterisk. But we can also include the summary of product characteristics. If this document includes reference safety information and was not submitted in the annual safety report, also the same with investigation brochure. We can also submit other documents, like it was mentioned by Ornella, the cover letter or any information that the sponsor finds useful and relevant to provide to the assessors. Lastly, we have to select these ready buttons to confirm that our company is submitting this annual safety report in accordance with Article 43 of the regulation, that the reference information document submitted was submitted the old and new version, and that we agree with above statements. Before submitting, we can try to see if we had submitted all the information that is required. So we can press check, and we can see that we didn't upload the annual safety report document. So we have to do it. And here we can also change the name. So the document doesn't need to stay with the name we had previously in your desktop. And we can also change the version if our internal version is different. And we can leave some comment if it is relevant. Then we press attach. And now checking, we will see that our annual safety report is valid, and we can proceed with its submission. Here we have the look of one submitted annual safety report. So we can see that the member states are Netherlands and Belgium, the same member states that were in our trials application. Nevertheless, we still don't have a safety member state appointed, as this will be the next phase. But when we have the safety member state selected, the name of the member state will be appearing below here under SAMS. As you can see, the way that the annual safety report looks like has the same organization as the annual safety report form. We start with sponsor details, we have the clinical trial details, we have the annual safety report details, and we have the submission documents. Also, it appears that we confirm that information that we submitted as a regulation. And the new thing is that here appears the assessment tab now that we have submitted the annual safety report. So if we press, we will see that here we have the tab to respond to RFI, and if an RFI is raised, I'm sorry, if the RFI is raised, it will appear a notice and alerts.
Hi, Kat.
Hey.
Sorry to interrupt. Before you move on to, you can conclude what you're saying, but before you move on to the RFIs, maybe we can take a couple of questions.
Yeah, you prefer? It's okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you want to conclude
So,
what you're saying, and then we can go?
yeah.
Okay.
So here it appears the assessment tab, where it will appear the response to the RFI, and then when we respond as a sponsor, it will appear the response, and also appear the conclusion and summary of the assessor's assessment. So I think that for now, the annual safety report submission is handled. And if you want to proceed with some questions, I pass to you, Vicky.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much, Katya. So I will share now the questions that we have received in advance, and we will take a few questions from there, starting from the most popular in advance questions. And the first one is for Ornella, and it reads, shall a sponsor expect assessment and approval of the ASR, and what are the associated timelines?
Thank you, Vicky. So as I explained in the presentation, the SAMS, so the Safety Assessment Member State, will submit a final assessment report in the CTIS. it has to do, this sum has to do that within 42 days after the submission of the latest annual safety report, or we'll do it within maximum of 84 days if there are if additional information is requested. However, also, as I mentioned, the member state may increase the extent and shorten the timelines of the assessment if they consider that there is risk to safety of participants in the clinical trials. Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you, Ornella. And the next question is for Noemi. Email notifications for RFIs would be very welcome, since checking a system daily or twice daily for something which we are not sure we will receive is not a very efficient use of time. Is this something that is in the pipeline?
So thank you very much for the question. I think we are aware that the users of CTIS and particularly the sponsors have actually asked for this feature, email notification. Currently, as the users know, it is not in the functionality. This is something that we're very much aware of, and I think it's not currently planned as an improvement. As you know, we are certainly working this. We've been working this year very much in order to stabilize the system and to ensure that we could actually pass the milestone of the first transition year. What is really important here is that your feedback, we will need to collect feedback. And if email notification indeed is very relevant, we need to be told about it. And I think this is why we have a service desk. The service desk is certainly there to collect your comments if you have obviously difficulties with the system, but also in order to collect any improvement that you would want to see in the system, because the more requests on this particular feature we will receive. We have colleagues at the agency who are working with the with industry representative that are certainly supporting the prioritization of improvement. And if obviously if we receive a lot of those requests, this would go into the pot for the planning of those improvements. So we very much would want to receive those this feedback through the service desk. I think we're certainly very grateful to hear it during those sessions, but it's important also to get the feedback in writing, basically through the service desk. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Noemi. The next question. Please explain how we can reference other trials, for example, those still conducted under the directive, and other member states that are not member states concerned for already in CTIS in the ASR submission. See question 7.49 in the CTR Q&A. And I would like to give this question to Ornella.
Yes, thank you, Vicky. So, as I explained in the presentation, in case that one clinical trial is ongoing in alignment with the CTR, and then the others are under the directive, the ISR should be submitted to the database, so to the CTIS database. So, sponsors can name all the member states concerned for all the ongoing clinical trials in the member states in the EU and EEA. And sponsors are still, however, obliged to submit ISRs to ethic committees according to the national legislations in the member states with ongoing clinical trials within the directive. And also they will have to inform investigators of any new safety data or change in the benefit risk evaluation. Yes. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Ornella. And the next question is for Noemi. When submitting ASR through CTIS, is it applicable for all EEA countries, removing the requirement for ISR submission under CTD for that product, or only for those countries which approved a study with this product through CTIS?
So thank you very much, Vicky. So I think this question really builds from the one that Ornella just answered. So as we have here the CTIS system, and it was demonstrated by Katia, the sponsor can prepare the ASR, and with this ASR, mention and attach to their ASR submission the list of the trials that are currently present in CTIS. And this would obviously lead a submission to the member state concerned by those trials. Now, obviously, as it was mentioned by Ornella, the sponsor can certainly provide their ASR and in their cover letter record that this ASR also applies to trials that are run under the CTD. And this is why I think today during this session, we've heard about the cover letter. That is obviously not a specific requirement of the CTR, but this is quite encouraged by the member states in order to provide further information on this ASR. And there's further information about that in the Q&A. So then with this submission of the ASR currently in CTIS, we have the SAMS selection within CTIS. But then what is currently occurring at the level of all the member states is that they are sharing the information among all the member states, and they are doing that outside of CTIS. And this enables them to then assess jointly the information. And even if the sponsor does not see the list of the member state concerns by the trials that are currently run in the CTD in CTIS, this information is still shared with the member states of the EA, and especially the ones that are concerned with the active substance that is included in those particular trials. So this is currently the way it's been done at the level of Europe in order to ensure a safety assessment among all the member states concerned, even if today in CTIS we don't have all the trials that are relevant to this ASR. Okay, so I hope that answered the questions. And thank you so much. Vicky, back to you.
Thanks for the detailed reply. I would like to invite Katia to answer the next question as it relates to what she just presented to us. For the ASR submission and the contact person, can we use a department name and then a shared mailbox email address?
CTIS, as we could see, can allow us to populate contact details by either a person or an affiliated or shared affiliated organization or shared mailbox. However, it would be advisable to indicate a responsible person as well, as it can be necessary to contact a responsible person. Member states may need to contact someone responsible, and it is easier if they know who was responsible for the submission.
Thank you very much, Katia. I think that now we can pause a little bit on the questions and give the floor back to Katia to continue with and finish her demo. I'm just made you a presenter, Katia, so whenever you're ready, you can share your screen again with us.
You hear my audio, right?
Yes, we can hear you and we can see
Okay, thank you.
the settings.
So to respond in RFI, we have two options, or search for an RFI in the RFI placeholder and perform advanced search, or do the same in notices and alerts. And here in notices and alerts, we have a new notice that is showing us that annual safety report was just submitted. That was our demo annual safety report. We can proceed to the advanced search and select here the type. We can select that the member state was Belgium or Netherlands, that are the member states concerned. And we can select here that the RFI was sent to us, and we can perform a search.
Katia, if you clear the search, clear your search again, I guess, and start again. And if you look for the source type, and specifically for ASR,
ASR,
that might help you to focus further on the type of notices that you would be looking for, especially if it's an RFI that you would have that would have been submitted to you. Yeah, that's one way to search.
Thank you. So now we have populated the correct fields to find our annual safety report and our RFI notice and alert.
And maybe it wasn't Belgium. Maybe you want to remove Belgium from the search?
Yes, I think it was. So it was Netherlands. I'm so sorry. Indeed, you are right. So if we press here, that's why if we don't populate the correct things, it won't retrieve any information. This was a human mistake, I'm sorry. So here we can find the RFI we received for our annual safety report that was already submitted and is under evaluation. As you can see, the safety member state is Netherlands because this is a trial that only contains one member state. And here we have the free considerations that are part of our RFI. And to respond, we simply press respond. We populate a response. We have to fill the writing fields with a response, the three of them. Otherwise, the response will not be completed. Here we have a placeholder to upload the documents. And as you can see, the questions is that sponsors have to provide the investigator's brochure, the summary of product characteristics, and an ASR complete. In this case, we can select the three documents in a row. We open it, and we have them here. But in this case, we have to select the type of document we are adding. So, investigator's brochure, SMPC, and annual safety report document. We can, as I explained, change the title of our documents, and we can press attached. As you can see, you also don't have any draft button. If you don't populate the response and submit it, next time we will have to begin from the scratch. It's also important to mention, as Ornella had said, that now we can submit documents up to 50 megabytes. It's also important to notice that we have to click in this radio button to show that we as a sponsor confirm that our information is complete, that the documents contain accurate information, and very important is to mention that no personal data is included. So we press here, I agree with above statements, and we press submit. And our verify response, as you can see, is responded and the documents are enclosed. And I think we can stop here the demo presentation.
Thank you, Katja, for guiding us through. I will share now again questions with all of you, and we can continue reading through and providing answers. So the next question. Second. Yes, the next question is for Katja, and can RFIs, and it relates to the demo that you just gave to us, can RFIs be downloaded from CTIS as for clinical trial applications, or is it only possible to make screenshots?
Unfortunately, as you may have seen, there's no option to download documents, to download the RFI document and RFI raised by the assessors from CTIS. However, we can always consult this information either on the RFI tab or going directly to the unsafe report application and pressing the placeholder assessment.
Thanks, Katja.
Can I? Yes, just to supplement, hi Vicky, Katja, just to supplement what you were saying, it's correct. Unfortunately, we don't have the feature to download the RFI and especially the structured data. However, there is a way to download the document itself. There is a little feature that is enabled. But it's correct to say that at this point in time, we don't have this feature. And maybe just to complement what I was saying early on, we have planned some enhancement in the system. And I think this is, this is really a feature that would benefit some improvement. We need to be, this is something that needs to be communicated to us, again, through the service desk or through the representative of industry that are currently on the prioritization of items that sits with the delivery team of CTIS. And that would be extremely beneficial if you could hear from you on this particular point. Thank you.
Many thanks for the complimentary answer, Noemi. The next two questions are for you, so please stay with us. I'm going to read the first one. As of when is ASR submission through CTIS required? 1. As of one MS has accepted transition adoption. 2. As of RMS has accepted transition adoption. Or 3. As of all MS member states involved in the study have accepted transition adoption.
Right, so this, thank you very much for the question. I think here we can imagine this is potentially for a trial that has several member state concerns. And we can envisage that the decision on the trial is not done on the very same day. But when if the full package has been submitted through CTIS to the member states if part 1 and part 2 indeed was submitted to several member states. The actual timelines of when the ASR, and if it's the very first trial with that product, what kicks off the annual anniversary of the submission would be the authorization of by the first member states. Obviously, the others will then approve or decide on the trial probably later, but more or less, this is hopefully not going to cause too much delay in the authorization of the trial by the other member states concerned. Obviously, if the package is full and if it includes part 1 and part 2.
Great, thank you, Noemi. Next question for you again. When can we expect a save button for ASR applications to save a draft application? This is an important function needed for quality check steps.
I think we're very much aware of that. The functionality of the ASR, as you've seen it, was not developed with as much functionalities as we have for a clinical trial application, really. Today we don't have the download, we don't have the save. And even if, as it was demonstrated to you, there is a wizard action in the system where we go from one step to the other that were very nicely presented by Katja. Clearly, the save feature doesn't exist today. And I think this definitely is something that we would need to consider for as an improvement. I know from having worked on the delivery team before we launched CTIS that this was a feature that was mentioned. However, today I cannot confirm exactly whether it is in the pipeline as an improvement. So again, I would really suggest that you provide this as an improvement within the service desk and that you speak with the representative of industry and non-commercial sponsors that are working with us to prioritize the improvement in CTIS.
Thank you for the suggestions, Noemi. The next question is for Katja. Fees for DSUR assessment, will they be dictated by the country of assessment, or EMA will give a unique fee like for Prague PSUR assessment? Currently, some countries do not foresee a fee for DSUR assessment, while some do.
Fees related to the assessment of annual safety report applications are in the remit of the national competent authorities. So any question related to fees must be addressed by the national contact points that you can find in the other Lex 10. It's also important to mention that there is no specific placeholder related to fees in CTIS. However, sponsors can upload this information in the annual safety report section 3, section 3 exactly, and they can upload this information in the other documents tab.
Thanks, Katja. Stay with us for the following question as well. Is cover letter needed along with submission of DSUR? If yes, what should be the contact?
As it was already explained by Ornella and Noemi, there is no requirement in the clinical trial regulation that indicates that it is mandatory to provide a cover letter. However, a cover letter can be added in the third step of the annual safety report in the placeholder of other documents, in case the sponsor needs to share some other relevant information that was not shared in the initial application. Regarding the contact details, sponsors can add their contacts and the contacts of a responsible person details in the annual safety assessment report form. Already we saw that we have a specific place to populate this information. So that is in the beginning, in the step 1 So there is no need to provide such details in this cover letter.
Many thanks, Katia, again. The next question I will read is for Ornella. If the ethics committees can access the DSUR through CTIS, does sponsor need to submit the DSUR to ethics committee separately? Refer to question 7.29 in the CTR Q&As.
Thank you, Vicky. So the short answer is no. So additional direct submissions from sponsors to ethics committees are not foreseen in the CTR. However, the ethics committees can be involved in the assessment of the safety information by the member states if that is the national decision of the individual member state. So I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
Sorry, I was muted. Thanks. Next question is for Katia. When a DSUR is submitted via the CTIS portal, can it be evaluated by a country not involved in the trial? Could the DSUR for a trial conducted in France and Germany, for example, be evaluated by Spain? And I think I correct myself. This question is for Noemi.
Yeah. Okay, no, I can take it, certainly, yes. I think this comes back to what I was explaining early on, is that obviously today with CTIS, the way it was presented to you and the way the system functions is that the ASR is directly submitted to the member state concerned by the trial that are currently in CTIS. This is the way the system functions, but that doesn't mean that a country that is not currently listed as a member state concerned in CTIS would not get involved with the assessment. Because as I was commenting, the member state concerned that are currently listed in CTIS would then involve the other member states of Europe that would have trials under the CTD potentially that are ongoing or that are very much involved with the assessment of a specific substance. The member state would then run what we call a joint assessment, but this joint assessment would take place outside of CTIS. And this is what is currently under play. And this is, as was commented by Ornella initially, this is very much to respond to the need of the implementing regulation that was issued at the start of this year. This is very much to enable this joint collaboration of safety information, and this is not purely for ASR, this is also for SUSAR's information, and to ensure that there is a very strong collaboration between member states in the supervision of safety information and the monitoring of that information in Europe. So what the sponsor sees today in CTIS is quite limited in terms of the lists of the member state concerned, because as I said, in CTIS, we only have very little legacy data at this point in time. And until the time we have all the trials, then the member states are running this assessment, joint assessment, let's say, outside of the system in order to manage this transition from the CTD to the CTR. So thank you for that question and enabling us to further clarify.
Great, thank you. Moving on with the next question that this one is now for Katia. When a DSUR is submitted via the CTIS portal, can other sponsors view that information?
So the answer to this question is no. Sponsors can only see their own annual safety reports that they had created and they had assessed and approved. Only the users with the role of annual safety report submitter of a sponsor can access to the tab annual safety report and can only see their trials. All information populated related to annual safety reports may be confidential and therefore will not be publicly available anywhere. Thanks for this question. Is very interesting.
Thanks, Katja. The next question, we will read it, but it has already been mentioned by both Ornella and Katja. The increasing of megabytes per document up to 50 megabytes has been implemented as well as for the documents to be uploaded under the ASR section for the relative submission, or we still have the 10 megabytes per document. Ornella, yes.
Yes, thank you, Vicky. So as mentioned before, the document can be up to 50 megabyte each. Also, the documents that are uploaded under the ISR section. So it has been increased. Thank you.
Many thanks. Two more questions from the ones we have received in advance. Will be available in future a possibility to export submission package, structure, RFI responses, and the status of the submission under the ASR tab, as we do for the applications in CTIS? If yes, by when? I think Noemi can give us an answer to that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of requests for further improvement, and I think we're very much aware of that, and that's the normal process of any IT system. I can certainly confirm that the system will be improved in the future. I certainly cannot respond when this particular feature of the export or the download or the save features will be made available. I cannot, but for sure, improvement will be made in the years to come.
Thanks, Noemi. And if you could please take the last one as well, I'm going to read it right now. One of the member states concerned, which was submitted as part of additional member states concerned, was not part of the annual safety report submitted. How can the ASR for the additional member state concerned be managed in CTIS?
Yeah, so I guess this probably builds from what we've already communicated to you, that even if a member state concerned that by a trial that is either in a CTD that is currently ongoing under the Clinical Trial Directive is not obviously mentioned in CTIS, will always be able to assess the information, because as I explained, there is a parallel assessment procedures going on, a joint collaboration between all the member states involved with a particular substance. And this is done and to respond to the requirement of the implementing regulation that goes along with the CTR. So that's, I think from this point of view, I think I would want to reassure the sponsors that there is certainly a chance, and it's for sure that member states that are involved with an active substance will be involved with the assessment. Now, I would like to probably comment on this particular request, because it reads that one of the member states concerned that was added as an additional MSc was not actually mentioned. This is what I read from the question, and was not mentioned as an MSc in the ASR when it was prepared. And I guess we would want technically to understand further about this particular point. And what I would want to say is, have you already submitted your issue to the service desk? If yes, then I think we would be interested to know which one it is, because we can certainly look into it and understand better, because we want to make sure that the system is obviously built accordingly, and that if there are additional MSCs that are submitted to CTIS after the initial application was obviously authorized, we want to make sure that all the additional MSCs are certainly listed on the list of MSCs to assess the ASR, at least in CTIS. Yeah. So thank you so much.
Thank you for the detailed reply, Noemi. We have roughly, I can estimate 10 minutes before we start wrapping up. So we can move now to responding to the most popular questions we have received today. I can read the first one. Yes, and I think Ornella can take that one. For a study with a clinical trial application number 1 that involves investigational product number 1, what will happen if an investigational product number 2 is added in a new branch with a new CTA number 2? Are we expected to submit a separate ASR for IP number 2 since it has a separate CTA number? Would we need 2 separate DSUR ISR?
Thank you, Vicky. So the quick answer to this is no, it's not necessary to submit 2 separate ASRs. So you can submit, if it's provided in the protocol, a sponsor can submit a single safety report on all investigational medicinal products that are used in a trial. So an ISR can be related to more than one clinical trial, also to more than one investigational medical product. Thank you.
Nice, thank you, Ornella. Next question, basic question. What is the difference between ASR and DSUR? Who would like to answer
So,
that?
I'll take this one, Vicky. An easy one in some ways. So ASR and DSUR are probably it's the same thing. In fact, it's just a different naming. ASR stands for Annual Safety Reports. This is the terminology used in the clinical trial regulation, as DSUR is the Development Safety Update Report, and this is the terminology used in the in ICH. In fact, ICH. So in fact. From now on, we're going to be using ASR as we do in according to the CTR, but it's very much the same thing. Huh?
Okay, many thanks for clarifying. Next question. If the ASR is submitted by a CRO, should its contact detail be populated in the contact details for ASR submission?
I can answer if you want.
Yeah.
The response is yes. If this CRO is the legal representative and has a contract with the sponsor, they should indeed, as we shown in the second placeholder of the first step, populate their contacts on the annual safety report form.
Thanks, Katja. Next question. Is there a field in CTIS to indicate conclusion of SAM's assessment? Do you feel you can answer that, Katja? Or
yes. Indeed, in the second field of the placeholder assessment, after we submit the annual safety report application, you see the first is the RFI tab or the RFI response, and the second field below is a place where the safety assessment member states will indicate the summary and the conclusions of their assessment.
Okay, many thanks. I'm going to read the next question. And search for clinical trial. Are only trials authorized via CTIS available in the search? And I will give this to Ornella.
Thank you, Vicky. Yes, so if we are to search for a clinical trial, it has to be an authorized clinical trial that can be linked to the ISR in CTIS. So yes, only authorized clinical trials can be linked to ISRs. Thank you.
Just to yes, hi colleagues. Just to complement, We can also specify in the ASR a trial that is halted. So yes, it has been authorized at some point, but it might be in a slightly different status. It could be halted, or I think there's a selection of statuses that can be taken from the demo that we looked at or that you gave, Katia. So I think it's true to say that, yes, the trial must have been authorized at some point. So it could also be that it's halted, or and to be honest, it escaped my mind. But there's some other statuses also accepted.
Thank you for supplementing, and I'm gonna read the next question, but let's try. The question is: this the sponsor's first ASR for any of the IMPs selected? Does this mean first ASR that is submitted through CTIS? I'm not sure.
So I think I'll answer the question. So no, it's not necessarily through CTIS. I think we need to think that CTIS is there now to collect the information in a centralized fashion, clearly. But because of what I've explained, the fact that the member state concerned are currently doing and running this assessment jointly with other member states that are currently looking after trials that maybe are being run under the CTD. I think this question is particularly important for the first ASR for any IMPs that have never been used to conduct a clinical trials. So it's definitely the first ASR for any trials for that particular product, whether it's been run under the CTD or the CTR.
Thank you. I will move on to the next question. For transitional trials, is it necessary to submit all the ASRs already submitted under the directive, or only the last one, or only the next issue that will be under the CTR, probably?
So I think I'll take this one as well. We currently, when we think about transitional trials, we're very much looking to get prospective data and not retrospective. And I think this is the attitude that I understand from the member state. So for this particular one, you would want them to work from, because it's a transitional trial, so you must have had the SUR submitted before. I think I advise you to look at the Q&A, where it's very clearly documented that obviously you would want to think about the international burst date of the product, and then be very much follow up from the annual DSUR that you used to do, and you carry on with basically the submission to CTIS, but this time it's called the ASR.
Thank you, Noemi. We have time for one or two questions. Both next questions have equal votes, so all three questions. So would you like to read one in particular, or just take the first one? Open question to all three of you.
Yeah, you take the first one, and maybe Katia, can you answer the first one, maybe?
I think if you feel that I need some supplements, please feel free to intervene. How can we submit an ASR on behalf of a business partner? If the business partner concedes the role an OSEPT report submitter to your user account, you can submit their study in their name. And I think it is everything. Also, this business partner can give you another roles, because maybe you will have other roles than the annual safety 3 report submitted. It depends on the roles they are conceding to you. And I think I addressed the question.
Okay. This was the last question that we have time to take today. I would like to thank our speakers for presentation, them and answering the questions. But I would like to also thank our attendees. But please do not go yet. We have a couple of announcements. And this is the last session of the year. So, yes, here's the presentation. Yes. So, please, attendees, dear attendees, please stay on Slido, and we have prepared 3 very short questions for you, where you can give us your satisfaction feedback and your suggestions for future topics on the bite-sized talks. The questions that you have submitted today for today's event will be used as input to EMA training and support materials. And please, as my colleague Noemi has emphasized, feel free. We encourage you to submit any questions you have, any requests on CTIS through the CTIS service desk. The next year, in 2023, the CTIS bite-sized talks and walk-in clinics will continue. We have planned the walk-in clinic on the 18th of January, and there will be a bite-sized talk also in February, but this will be announced in due course. If you want to be informed, you can always visit the CTIS Training and Support webpage of EMA, and you can subscribe to the Clinical Trials Highlights newsletter, where we announce upcoming EMA events regarding CTIS there. What is next? Yes, we would like to emphasize that we invite you to submit your questions in advance. The Slido links are always on the event page, and we prioritize replying to the in advance questions during the live events. Another announcement is that we have updated the sponsor handbook for CTIS users. You can find it in the CTIS page in EMA corporate website. This presentation will be circulated, and the link will also be there. It will be circulated next week. And I would like to remind everyone that we have the CTIS training environment, or also called CTIS sandbox, and if you want to access and let's say practice a little bit with clinical trial submission before you go on the actual system and perform your submission, you can express your interest to access the CTIS sandbox through the survey. The link is on this presentation that will be delivered, published. It is also found in the previous bite-sized talk presentation already published. It's public. Please go and complete the survey. So, closing this event, I would like to thank everyone for attending this session. I would like to thank our speakers once again. I wish everyone a lovely evening and happy holidays when we all get there. Thank you very much, and goodbye.